whispering ashes. The fire crackles, bright in the center of the dark clearing, spitting tiny embers into the night sky that drift away like dying spirits. The circle of listeners lean closer, cold biting at their backs, while the warmth licks their faces. The old man in the tattered coat draws his hood low, glances at them with one filmy eye, and says softly, "I see you're all eager for a story tonight. Be careful what you ask for. Some stories take root in your bones. Some can't be forgotten once they're heard." He leans forward and lets the silence stretch before he begins, his voice rasping like dry leaves. It happened long ago or last night, depending who you ask. On a night like this one, dark, too quiet, no wind to move the branches, no crickets to sing, the kind of silence that feels alive. They were a ragged group of wanderers, not so different from us. Merchants who'd lost their trade routes to bandits, sellswords too old or too young to be respectable, dreamers with nowhere left to go. They'd camped at the edge of the Hollowwood, even though everyone knew you didn't do that. Not if you wanted to keep your soul intact. But they were cold, desperate, drunk enough on stolen wine to scoff at old tales. They lit a fire and told each other jokes with too much laughter, the sound forced and brittle. It was about then the wind died completely. The smoke from their fire stopped drifting and rose in a perfect line toward the stars. No one noticed at first. Then the trees around them went still, the branches frozen in mid-sway as if the world had forgotten how to move. Silence swallowed them so hard they could hear their own blood in their ears. And then the sky opened. Not with a crack of lightning, not with a falling star, but with a slow, dreadful split like a wound parting. From it spilled light that didn't belong in this world. Dark green, tinged with something that shimmered like oil on water, alive and wrong. It dripped into the world, seeping across the canopy, lighting up the fog with ghastly glow. They should have run, but fear froze them. And then it fell. Something massive and angular, burning with green fire, crashing into the forest with a scream of tortured earth and stone. The shockwaves snuffed their fire. Trees fell like brittle matchsticks. For a moment they thought they'd all been deafened. When sound returned, it wasn't the crackling of their fire or the wind in the trees. It was whispering. Thousands of voices, all speaking at once, all saying things they almost understood but not quite. Promises, threats, laughter. One by one, they got to their feet, blades drawn, torches lit again with shaking hands. "We should leave," one man said, voice cracking. "Too late," whispered a woman with wide, empty eyes, because now they could see the glow in the distance, pulsing, beckoning. Most wanted to run away from it, but one among them, named Saris, pointed her dagger at the others and said, "We go there. That's what it wants." They argued, nearly killed each other then and there, but fear of being alone in that dark overcame the rest, and so they went. They trudged through the felled trees, over splintered trunks and roots torn from the earth like pulled teeth. The green light grew brighter, sicker. At last they found the crater. It wasn't a crater at all. It was a doorway. A massive, cracked stone disc lay half buried in the ground, covered in symbols that writhed and moved like worms in rotting flesh. The light bled from them, casting the forest in diseased glow. The air was cold enough to freeze their tears to their cheeks. Saris approached first. She touched the stone, it sighed, and opened. Not like doors opening in your house, more like flesh parting around a wound, stretching wetly, oozing black fluid that steamed in the frigid air. Beyond lay a tunnel, not carved by tools, but shaped by something that understood fear better than geometry. The walls were ribbed and slick, the floor uneven, littered with bones that weren't all animal. Saris turned to the others and said, "We finish what our ancestors started." No one knew what she meant, but they followed, because turning back meant walking into a forest that was holding its breath. The tunnel sloped down, twisting, narrowing. Symbols pulsed on the walls, shifting between scripts no human tongue had ever spoken. As they walked, the whispers grew louder. They began to hear words they knew. "Welcome. We missed you. Free us." Some covered their ears. It didn't help. A man in the back started laughing. He didn't stop when they shook him. He laughed so hard blood came out his nose. He didn't stop until his heart burst. They left him there. They had to. Further down, they found the carvings. Scenes etched into the walls with claws or knives, armies of ancient humans kneeling before towering things with too many limbs and eyes like endless night, blood sacrifices. symbols of pacts. Saris paused to study them, touching them with reverence. "This is the pact," she said. "They gave us fire, knowledge, power over the earth. In return, we kept them asleep, fed them dreams, promises, lies. We stopped believing, and they woke up hungry." No one answered. What could you say to that? The tunnel ended in a cavern so vast their torches barely lit the floor at their feet. The walls were lost in darkness. At the center was the seal, a disk of black stone covered in those same writhing symbols, cracked and steaming green light. Something beneath it breathed. The whole chamber pulsed with it, an ancient slow inhale and exhale that made their guts twist and their teeth ache. The whispers rose to screams. "Feed us! Join us! End it!" Cirrus fell to her knees. Her dagger clattered on the stone. She pressed her forehead to the cracked seal. "We're sorry," she whispered. The others screamed at her to stop. She didn't listen. Green fire erupted from the cracks, engulfing her. Her screams mixed with the whispers until they couldn't tell them apart. When the light faded, she was gone. No blood, no ashes, nothing. The seal was whole again. The whispers fell silent. The breathing slowed. The others collapsed, weeping. They had no idea how long they sat there before they realized the tunnel behind them was closing. Flesh sealing over it, smooth as unbroken skin. They ran. They ran through twisting blackness lit only by the fading glow of their torches, by the memory of Ceres's sacrifice. When they emerged back into the forest, dawn was breaking. Birdsong returned, hesitant at first, then a chorus. The wind moved the trees again. They built a cairn for Ceres on the hill above the crater. They warned travelers away. They tried to forget, but the pact was only patched, not broken. The old man in the hood pokes the fire, sending sparks spiraling. His single eye glints with reflected flame. He scans the circle slowly, deliberately. So here we sit, in the hollow wood's shadow, telling stories to keep the dark at bay. You think it's just a tale? Look around. No crickets tonight. No owls. Maybe something fell again while we were talking. Maybe something woke up. So when you sleep tonight, if you hear the ground breathing under you, if you hear a voice you love begging you to come closer, remember this story and run. Run as fast as you can. He sits back. The wind picks up at last, sighing through the trees like something relieved to have been remembered. The fire crackles on. The end.